Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. And I want to say Shalom to Akanakwat out there doing this through diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. And, in the same fashion as we did yesterday, the day before yesterday, I was making a lesson titled Stop Arguing with Cops, Jake. And in there, it's kind of like a double feature. And there was a couple, through the spirit and power of Yahweh, there was a couple different topics that came to me. Now, we got the other one out yesterday, which was dealing with, going into the curses that the Lord put on Jake. We got that one out. And then, mostly been talking about Esau and culture and history and who we are and who they are. And, this is really going to wrap up that little mini-series. And this one's called Speckled Birds and Tares, which is really the other thing that you need to realize. Because we talked about stop arguing with cops. We touched on reincarnation, all right, a little bit. Talking about there's nothing new under the sun. And actually, that might just be I might just do another one, all right. And I might just do another one, and that'll probably be the 4-part little series. Right? Really, the first one, Stop Arguing with Cops, is a double feature. So, but yeah, I'll probably touch on a little bit more on reincarnation, go into that a little bit, maybe tomorrow, Lord willing, spirits on me. But right now, we're talking about speckled birds and tares. I mentioned this yesterday. Not everyone that looks like Wesley Snipes is an Israelite. Okay, and let me go. Most people are familiar, but let's go. We'll get Wesley Snipes. Okay, Blade, right? Not everybody that looks like Wesley Snipes. All right, not everybody that looks like, let's go and get Denzel Washington. Okay, not everybody that looks like this is a Jake. Okay, for example, you got people like Lenny Kravitz, all right, who is actually just a small hat. Okay, just a small hat, and this guy. Some people say he is a Jake. Some people say he isn't. I don't think he is, just because some of the weird stuff that he's talked about and done. And he's just a weird guy, right? And his father's Ashkenazi Jewish, okay? Which isn't always 100% the fact, because Bob Marley's father was a so-called white guy. But, it's well under the idea that he's a Jake, all right? So... you just gotta be able to discern. All right, you gotta just be able to discern. And then there's people like Eminem, on the other hand. All right, that they look like Edomites. All right, but are in fact Israelites. Okay, you got Eminem. You got Elvis. Okay, who else do you got? You got there's a bunch. There's a couple people I believe to be Jakes. Dolores from the Cranberries, I believe to be more than likely. Dolores Cranberries. This lady here, right? I believe I'm not 100%, but I believe she has a good chance, all right, to be an Israelite. But there's a bunch, there's a bunch. And then there's other people that look like Israelites, but that are really not. Again, Selena Gomez. All right, Selena Gomez. I believe her to be a tare, and I believe she's already just Spanish or something. She's a let me see. Let's go to the she's young life, early life. Of course, she was named after Selena. Her father's Mexican descent, while her mother was adopted as Italian ancestry. So it says her father is Mexican descent, but we don't know what her father is necessarily. But yeah, anyway, I didn't know if she went back to Spanish, but that would have been evident. But I believe her to be a tare. All right, Selena Gomez is just weird. Another person I believe to be a tare, Ariana Grande. I'm not even sure what her nationality goes back to again, but we can go and look and see. But like again, it's not always definitive when you look up, um, how they who their parents are, because sometimes it'll say, oh, their dad was black. Just like the other day when we got that one guy, his dad was black, but his dad was white or Ashkenazi Jewish or something like that, right? But early life, let's see, Brooklyn born, she's Italian. Doesn't say anything really other than Italian. She's an Italian American with Sicilian and whatever that is, roots. It doesn't tell us exactly what her father is, and what her mother is, but she's a tear if you know, and you have the now going back down here, says she has Sicilian roots, and these people right here, these are not the real Sicilians. All right, the real Sicilians were black. Okay, the original Sicilians were black. Okay, there's actually an old video about that. Let's see. Let's see. True Romance. Here you are. Watch this little clip here. Here, not all of it, but just 10 minutes. It's like 10 minutes, but no, it's shorter than that. But check this out. The real Sicilians were black. They were Moors. Okay, here you go.
Frankie,
There you go. I'll start from here. Check this out.
Frankie, tell Luca to go outside and do you know what?
Vai fuori, tu sappi che da fare.
Sì, Flo. Non te cagare. Do you know who I am, Mr. Woolley?
I give up. Who are you?
The Antichrist. You got me in a vendetta kind of mood. You tell the angels in heaven you never seen evil so singularly personified as you did in the face of the man who killed you. My name is Vincent Kirkcaldy. I work as counsel for Mr. Blue Lou Boyle, the man your son stole from. I hear you were once a cop, so I can assume you've heard of us before. Am I correct?
I've heard of Blue Lou Boyle.
I'm glad. Hopefully, that will clear up the how full of shit am I question you've been asking yourself. We're gonna have a little Q&A, and at the risk of sounding redundant, please make your answers genuine. You want a Chesterfield?
No.
I have a son, my own, about your boy's age. I can imagine how painful this must be for you, but Clarence and that bitch whore girlfriend of his brought this all on themselves. I implore you not to go down that road with them. You can always take comfort in the fact you never had a choice.
Look, I'd like to help you if I could, but I haven't seen Clarence.
You see that? It smarts, doesn't it? You're slammed in the nose. Fucks you all up. Get that pain shooting through your brain, your eyes fill up with water. That ain't any kind of fun. But what I have to offer you, that's as good as it's gonna get. And it won't ever get that good again. We talked to your neighbors. They saw a Cadillac. Purple Cadillac. And didn't stop. In a dead guy's hand.
He asked for some quick cash to go on.
Sicilians are great liars.
Here we are.
Best
Fuck
in
it.
the world. I'm Sicilian. My father was the world heavyweight champion of Sicilian liars. From growing up with him, I learned the pantomime. There are 17 different things a guy can do when he lies to give him.
Sicilians are known for their dark complexion, usually dark brown eyes and black hair to very, very dark brown hair. Now they have Sicilians out here that are blonde. You're not Sicilian, not true Sicilian, or you've been at least watered down by their, your not watered down per se. I won't say that, but at least several females in your blood, not in your bloodline, but that your bloodline got with must have been very light complected, because if you're Sicilian, you would have true Sicilians are dark complected. Right?
Away. Guy's got 17 pantomimes. Woman's got 20. Guy's got 17. But if you know them, like you know your own face, They beat lie detectors all to hell. Now, what we got here is a little game of show and tell. You don't want to show me nothing, but you tell me everything. I know you know where they are, so tell me. Before I do some damage, you won't walk away from.
Could I have one of those Chesterfields now?
Sure.
Right here.
You got a match? Oh, wait, no, don't bother. You're Sicilian, huh?
Sicilian.
You know, I read a lot, especially about things, about history. I find that shit fascinating. Here's a fact, I don't know whether you know or not. Well, Sicilians were spawned by niggers.
And this is why you need to go into history, all right? Because this really, I'm playing this clip because it has a lot to do with the lesson that I'm making today. Just because someone looks one way now doesn't mean that they are some way, right? The Sicilians, all right, a lot of people think, oh, the Italians, they're white people, whatever. The Sicilians, as he's going to explain, were Moorish people, all right, black, okay? They were black. So, but now look at what Sicilians apparently, look like. So, and some of those people that look with those light complexions, they're still true Sicilian, which means they would go back to Jake. All right, but there's also people that are calling themselves Sicilian because their mother was Sicilian and their father was something else. And that's not how it goes, as we're going to prove today. It's you are what your father is.
Come again?
No, it's a fact. Yeah. You see, Sicilians have black blood pumping through their hearts. And no, if you don't believe me, you can look it up. Hundreds and hundreds of years ago, you see, the Moors conquered Sicily.
Yep.
And the Moors are niggers. See, way back then, Sicilians were like wops from northern Italy. They all had blonde hair and blue eyes.
There you go.
But, well, then the Moors moved in there and, well, they changed the whole country. They did so much fucking with Sicilian women, huh? That they changed the whole bloodline forever.
The bloodline changed the whole bloodline forever. There you go. See, they hid that in there.
Blonde hair and blue eyes became black hair and dark skin. It's absolutely amazing to me to think that to this day, hundreds of years later, that Sicilians still carry that nigger gene. Now this, I'm quoting history. It's written. It's a fact. It's written.
I know this guy.
No.
No.
No. Your ancestors are niggers. Hey. Yeah. And your great grandmother fucked a nigger. Oh, yeah. And she had a half nigger kid. Now, if that's a fact, tell me, am I lying? 'Cause you're part eggplant. No! Hey.
You're a cantaloupe.
Kiss of death. There you go, and I'm pretty sure you can all figure out what happens next. But yeah, man, it's like he said, it's a fact, right? It's a fact. So you can't always go by what someone looks like, okay? But through the bloodline, all right, going back, all right, and Sicilian, all right, Sicily was indeed conquered by the Moors. Moors were, in fact, they say they're Muslim. They're black. All right, if you look up the Moors, all right. Now they see it's gonna say, where was it? The Muslim population. They were a Muslim. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. See, they tried to change it because it would be better. See, look, Moors in Europe. Does that look like a Arab to you? No. No, it does not. Does this man in the middle here look like an Arab? Here it is, bigger picture. No, he does not. Okay? So, but they've tried to, and now they show you the Moors and it looks like this. They left one black guy, but they look like this, and it's not the case. And it goes back to whitewashing history, even though there's all these depictions of the Moors as black, all right, individuals, so-called black individuals. Even this photo, you can tell that's a so-called black man just by the face, all right? Even by the way the hair's parted, all right? You can tell this is Afroic hair. And, they've tried to do anything but black, all right? Anything but black, all right? You can look at all these old depictions, Moors, but now they've tried to make them look like this, all right? That's what a Moor looks like now. No, fucking doesn't, all right? And it's been known, all right? But they've tried to, that's it, in more recent history, that's the new thing that they've tried to cover up, was in fact that the Moors were black. Now they're saying they're Islamic. All right, no, they're Islamic. No, you don't know who they are. All right, they were Israelites. All right, the Moors were Israelites, okay? And you just cover it up, all right, because the lies that Esau doesn't want you knowing who you are, so they had to whitewash history and cover history. That's where iconoclasm comes in. You can look up iconoclasm, and iconoclasm is what?
Iconoclasm.
It said the action of attacking or assertively rejecting cherished beliefs and institutions or established values or practices. And it's really not a good definition because it's in the word. What does clasm mean? Let's go and look up clasm. It means the destruction of, right? Clasm. Or here. Anyway, because that's not going to give us a good definition of what it is, but values. What are some of the values? What are you talking about? Anyway, iconoclasm or iconoclast. Iconoclasm, 1797, in reference to an act of breaking or destroying idols figuratively from 1858, in reference to beliefs, cherished institutions. Yes, but breaking or destroying idols. Okay, so anything else? No, but it comes from the word right here, iconoclast, the breaker or destroyer of images. Breaker or destroyer of images. And Esau is an iconoclast. He is a breaker, destroyer of images. Now they're saying it goes back to icon, and there's two different types of icons. There's like idols. All right, they say idols, and then there's icons, and icons like photos, and stuff like that, right? It comes from the word iconos or image, and then klastes, which means breaker. So image breaker. It really means image break, all right, or image breaker. Okay, so iconoclasm is image breaking, and that's what they've done. All right, you can go and look up the how they whitewashed, and really in the medieval times when it really started getting really prevalent. But they went through and they, you can go and get another scripture right here. They seek to paint themselves. It says 1 Maccabees 3:48. It says, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. So Esau, all right, the heathen, all right, one of them at least, sought to paint their likenesses, all right, in the Bible and into this history, instead of Negro faces, right? And you can prove. I have my work shirt on, so I can't do it. But if you look at the 1611 artwork, all right, KJV 1611 artwork. Let's see if they were successful with it. There you go. Those are all white people. All right, there you go. Look, white, long, non-woolly hair. I get a bigger version of it. guess that's as big as it's gonna. I guess it's as big as it wants to get, but yeah, you can see it, man. Let's see. There we go. Okay. These are all white people. Okay, but they still put in right up here, hidden at the top. They put in the name of Yahweh. Okay, you can go and see. Right, these are all white people. So they managed it. They managed to do it. So there you go. So continuing on. All right. You got to go back into bloodline, because really that's the type of the stuff Esau does, because they tried to hide who you are. But if you go back into your bloodline, all right, you go back into history, you find out the Moors went here, they did this, and that was that, and then that goes down to those people, and you find out they went a lot of places. Jake went a lot of places. All right, Ireland was another one. That's why the Irish were so persecuted against. It wasn't because they were just Irish. All right, it was because they were descendants of blacks. That's why you say no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. All right, that's what you would see on signs, because they didn't want any Irish around. Why? Because they were Negroes. All right, so to speak. All right, or at least if they didn't look like it, they were the descendants of. Okay, who else? You got a lot of West Africa. All right, they say that that one doesn't really get talked about a lot, because they just say African Americans. They say, well, you're from Africa, and we're not from Africa. We're from Israel. All right, all our people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, so but they don't really talk about Africa. But West Africa, all right, is one of the places Jake was big in. All right, so a lot of those people over there aren't necessarily Hamites either. All right, there's still a lot of Hamites over there, just like there's still a lot of Edomites in Sicily. Okay, but a lot of them are Edomites and a lot of them aren't Edomites. All right, same with West Africa. A lot of them are Hamites, but a lot of them aren't Hamites. Okay, so you have a decent chunk of both. Okay, and the only way you can tell by skin color. Okay, like sometimes you can skin color can be differentiating. All right, if you see 9 times out of 10, if you see a white person walking down the road, they are an Edomite. Okay, 9 times out of 10, but it's not always definitive, because they say, oh yeah, my father was Sicilian and his great grandfather was black, so I'm actually kind of a little bit black. And you'd be like, whoa, you wouldn't even know. And they might talk white, walk white, and because they've been assimilated within that white culture. And they don't know how to be a Jake, but if they start hanging around Jake, and you start hanging around Jake for a while, that'll all come back. It'll come back naturally to you, right? So, and I don't mean you go like this now, but no, you're gonna have you ain't gonna be ghetto, but your Jakeness is gonna flow. You have it in you. It's like a tree, like with syrup. It's in there, but you just gotta tap into it. All right, and then it'll start pouring out freely, right? So, but yeah, man, it all goes back to who your father is, and we're going to prove that now in Numbers 1 and 18. This is, we're going to go actually from 17 to show you. It says, and Moses and Aaron took these men, which are expressed by their names, 18, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the 2nd month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the numbers of the names, from 20 years old and upward by their polls. So they declared their pedigree. Now their pedigree, and it says by the house of their fathers. Now house was used as your bloodline back in the day. Like if you watch Game of Thrones, you'll House Targaryen, House Stark, right? That there was the house. All right, that was your bloodline. That was their last name. I am Edward. What was it? Eddard Stark. All right, or so on and so forth. Tyrion Lannister, right? They're from House Lannister, right? Because the house was your last name was really your house. All right, if your last name was Jacob, all right, you'd be like and your first name was William, you'd be like, I am William from House Jacob. Okay, and that's how you would back then. So their house of their fathers. So that's through their bloodline. Okay, so they declared their pedigrees. Pedigree is race. Okay, that's your ethnicity. Okay, pedigree definition. All right, a pedigree is the record or descent of an animal, showing it to be a purebred. All right, or number 2, what we're talking about, the recorded ancestry, especially upper class ancestry of a person or a family. If you go down here, you're gonna see race. All right, your bloodline, your history, your blood, your breed. Okay, your paternity, paternal. Paternity means what?
Paternity.
the state of being someone's father, because it goes back to your father. It's through your father. If you look in the generations, all right, the book of the generations of Yahushua Hamashiach, all right, or as the world would ignorantly say, Jesus Christ, all right. Jesus is a Greek phrase that means dirty earth, all right, and so we're never going to use that. And the J wasn't invented in 1526, I believe. When was the J invented? I believe it was 1526. They said it wasn't until 1633. That's a lie. 1524. All right, 1524 by Gian Giorgio Triasano. All right, he's known as the father of the J. All right. So, but our Lord was born much earlier before that. So he couldn't have had any J's in his name. As a matter of fact, in the 1611, all right, before the J really took off, even in the 1611, it says Jesus. If you go into the 1611 right here, all right, which is the original binding and printing of the King James Version that is oh so popular today, if you look up Jesus, it will not come up. All right, they say Jesus is Jesus in the Bible, no direct matches. So there's no Jesus is not in the Bible. No, but you know who is? Jesus. All right, and you can see a bunch. You see Jesus Christ. All right, or Jesus Christ or Jesus Christos. All right, so that's how it was. All right, because there was no J's. But if you go into Hebrew, all right, his name is Yahushai, all right, which means he is the deliverer, all right, and his father's name is there as well because he told Moses, tell them I am hath sent you. And I am in Hebrew, okay, is Yahweh, all right, which means he exists, all right, the existing one, okay. So if you go and look into the generations of Yahushai, all right, who the world innately calls Jesus Christ, we'll go and get a couple, all right, because again, I'm packed on time because I got to run to work, but I want to get my lesson out before I go to work because I had a little bit of time to do it. It says the book of the generations of Yahushua Hamashiach, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Notice it already named 2 men. Okay, we're gonna get it. It's just gonna show you men after men after men after men after men. Now, of course, they had to get with women. There was daughters that were had as well. Okay, Yahushua had a sister, all right, and a mother as well, of course, because we can prove that with your. Brethren, Slakia. Brethren. But I believe, yeah, there was I don't have the time to go into it, but I believe there was also an account where it talks about, yeah, right here. It says, Matthew 12 and 47. Then one said unto him, this is when Yahushua was speaking in the temple. It said, then one said unto him, behold, thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to speak with thee. So he had brothers, all right. So like I said, sister. He might have had sisters. I can't remember. I think I've heard it before. I can't necessarily remember. I don't want to say anything correct. So Salakia, that's something I'd have to look and do more. But he definitely had brothers. It says, but he answered and said unto him that told him, who is my mother and who are my brethren? And he stretched forth his hand towards his disciples and said, behold, my mother and my brethren. For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, same as my brother and sister and mother. Right, so we can show you that. But yeah, anyway, going back, Slakia. Like I said, I'd have to look more into that about the sister. I think I've heard something about it before, but I don't have the scriptures. I'm not well versed on that enough to go into that right now. But if you look, it always only mentions the men. All right. So let's continue on in verse 2. It says Abraham. And this is Matthew 1 and 2. It says Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Judas and his brethren. And Judas begat Pharez and Zara of Thalmar, and Pharez begat Ezram, and Ezram begat Aram, and Aram begat Amminadab, and Amminadab begat Naasan, and Naasan begat Salmon, and Salmon begat Booz of Rechab, and Booz begat Obed of Ruth, and Obed begat Jesse. Right? And Jesse begat David the king, and David the king begat Solomon of her that had been the wife of Urias. Okay, showing you that it mentions the wife sometimes, but who was begat? It's mostly focusing on the men. because that's where your bloodline comes from. Okay, you are what your father is. So if you have an Asian mother and a black father, you are black. All right, you're not really black, because black is a derogatory term put on our people. It means void of light. But you're so-called black. All right, you're so-called Negro. All right, you're not Asian. Now in the world, they'll say, oh, you're Asian. You might have Asian features, but you're not. You are what your father is. All right, and this goes back all the way through the bloodline. Say, how can you trace it that far? Well, you really can't trace it that far with what we have now, modern, but you can do it through the bloodline. If your great grandfather, which a lot of time you don't have information of, all right, it was black, all right, then you are in fact Negro through that line. If he was a Judite, you're a Judite, all right. If you're, one of your ancient grandfathers, 3,000 years ago, all right, was a Judite, all right, and your father goes back to that line, then you yourself go back to the line, which makes your father go back to the line, which makes his father go back to that line, which makes his father go back to that line, and so on and so forth. Now, we don't always have records like that go all the way back, and you're not to be getting ancestry DNA tests, because that's just all just going to be used for biological warfare, right? You're just giving them your genes to experiment with. That's all you're doing. But going back to the how do you know? Well, you can tell through the spirit. All right, do you understand this truth? All right, do you believe in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai? In those names, not Jesus Christ, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Do you believe the Father's name is Yahweh? Do you believe the Son's name is Yahweh Shai? Do you believe that Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans? Do you believe the Lord's coming back to deliver His people? All right, do you believe that the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the chosen people? Do you believe that the so-called white man is the devil? All right, the Edomites. All right. They are the Edomites, all right, and the devil is in. And they say the devil, and the devil's not a man with a pitchfork. The devil is a person, all right, a bad person. The devil, all right, he is the devil. Okay, what does devil mean? All right, matter of fact, if you get the word devil, see the word, and it goes back to Satan. That's how that sometimes gets confused, because there's Satan referring to Esau and his wickedness. There's Satan as the spiritual demon Satan. Then there's the devil. But a lot of the time, all these words just get mixed up and jumbled. A lot of times, people just say the devil for Satan, and the devil is really referring to someone else. But here's a Strong's Satan. The name of the superhuman, they say superhuman adversary of Yahweh. That's again the accuser, the adversary, and that's really dealing with this Satan, not the devil. The devil. This one might go back to Satan as well. Let me go and see. No, Diablos. All right, this one's different. Diablos. All right, right here, metaphorically applied to a man who, by opposing the cause of Yahweh, may be said to act the part of the devil or to side with him, to act the part of Satan. All right, but really it doesn't make sense, because Satan is not opposed to Yahweh. Okay, that's another Christian bullshit teaching. Okay, saying it really means culminator. All right, go and look that word up. A false accuser or a slanderer. Okay. So, and I got to get heading out in a minute. It says to utter maliciously false statements, charges, or imputations. There you go. So that's who it is. But anyway, we got to, so yeah, man. Anyway, that's how you know you're an Israelite. You don't always, can't always, sometimes you just know because your father was black and his father was black, his father's black, or you can interject Native American, or you can interject Latino. All right, all the different flavors of Latino into that, and you'll know that way. But that's not always the case, because you might have, like, again, going with terrorists, as we're going to get into, you might have had your great grandfather might have just been an Edomite. So you might look Mexican now, but you're not. All right, you might look like, a lot of these so-called Mexicans, all right, are also terrorists as well, because you got to realize they were originally under the rule of Spain. Okay, you have two different type of so-called Mexicans. All right, you have the Mexicans that either have Aztec blood or you have Spanish blood. If they have Spanish blood, all right, through the father's line, they're just Edomites. Okay, but if they have Aztec blood, there's the Aztec, the natives. They're really the another form of Native American. All right, because everybody thinks of Gad, but the Aztec were here as well in the land of Mexico. All right, native, so-called native. They weren't here, but they were originally from Israel, but they were native because that's how they were found, right? Before the Edomites came. And so those are the Ishkarites, but the Spanish are Edomites. They're from Europe. They're European, all right? And the original Spain they weren't even dark complected, all right? They got dark complected over the years from all the shit that they did and getting down with people, but they were originally just white, all right? The Spanish people, all right? So yeah, we got that, all right? But so showing you that people look like everything, man, all right? We got to speed this up. How long have I been going for? 35 minutes? But we got to speed this up, unfortunately, because I got to get running. But it says, Jeremiah 12:9, it says, mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about are against her. Come ye, assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour. So, speckled bird. If you ever look up a speckled bird, all right, there are very many different colors. All right, so we come in all different shapes and sizes and colors. Okay, again, it goes back to your bloodline. It's not really about color at the end of the day. It's about bloodline. And color can sometimes be, telling in ways, but mostly it's 100% about bloodline. And sometimes you can't just tell. It has to be through bloodline, because you might have had, 35 grandfathers that all looked white, but before that, all your grandfathers were black and they were just getting with white women. Okay? So it's not always definitive, but you can, again, that's why it goes back to, do you truly, sincerely believe in this Bible? Do you believe that the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the true biblical Israelites? Do you believe that? If not, and you get mad and you hear about that, and you hear about, oh, here's a big one, Esau going into captivity, the so-called white man going into captivity, do you get pissed and foam at the mouth about that, or the heathens going into captivity? If you do, again, you might just be bugged out, or you might just in fact be one of those heathen nations. So, but we look like everything, all right? So it's not about skin color, all right, as we're going to get at the end. Well, actually, we're going to get it right now. 1 Samuel 16:7. All right, let's go and get it. It says, but the Lord said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth. This is why this is so important to understand. Right here at this part shows you the Lord doesn't care about skin color or appearance. He's dealing with, the heart, the soul. It says, for the Lord seeth not as man seeth. We look and we see someone that looks like a so-called black person. We instantly go, oh, he's got to be an Israelite. Not all the time. Not all the time, because you have tares. All right. Again, with the transatlantic slave trade. All right. Those Edomites were popping Jake women. So they had little Negro-looking babies, but they were really just Edomites in disguise. Chocolate-covered Edomites. Okay, and that's why you have that one guy running around watching anime. Hey, man, how are you doing? Oh, I don't listen to rap music or anything like that. Oh, I don't really like that. Oh, basketball? What's that? I don't know. What the fuck, man? Why are you so weird? You're weird. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't like anything? Well, shit. Do you like jazz music? Do you like dance? Do you like, I don't know, any Jake thing? No, not really. Not really. I like anime. I only like anime. That's the only thing I like. I'm like, this motherfucker's weird. Okay, you're probably an Edomite, all right? Or an Ammonite, all right, which goes back to the Japanese. They're talking all weird and shit, running around through the halls like Naruto. A lot of those motherfuckers are probably just tears. They're weird. They're just weird for a reason. Or they have autism, all right? That's the other thing. All right, but a lot of you have the Jake that love anime, all right? And it's usually like stuff like Dragon Ball and stuff like that, and to a normal level. And then you have the people that are obsessed about it. They got the anime book bag, they got the anime shirt, they got the anime poster, they only watch anime, and then they listen to the anime music, and then they have like one of those anime body pillows, and then they talk about, I'm like, bro, this is ridiculous. This is too extreme at this point. And then they act like an anime character. Oh, really? I wonder if she knows what I'm thinking right now. Bro, you need to calm the fuck down. You need to settle down. All right? You need to chill out, because that shit's ridiculous. All right? Yeah, and some of that's just, could be, autism and stuff, which I ain't demonizing and stuff, because hell, a lot of us have a little bit of it. But I'm talking about it to the full extent. You're either like just gone, or you're a lot of those people. I knew this kid. His name was JD, and I think that kid was an Edomite, man. He was just weird. He was just weird, man. He was a theater kid. Liked anime. Everything is just, you can just tell them by how they are. Try them by their spirit. Okay, the Lord said to do that about false prophets. You should try many people of their spirits and see how they're walking. You can tell a Jake. All right, you can just tell a Jake. They have a feel. I can't explain it. You'll know it. All right, if you're in this truth, you'll just know how to feel that. Oh, this person's a Jake, man. I vibe with them. This person's a Jake. Or you'll have there's some a couple of so-called black guys that are at my work. One guy named Chuck. That motherfucker's an Edomite. All right, he's weird. He's just off-putting. He's just weird. Hey, how are you guys doing? All right, and he's weird. There's another guy. He wears an American flag hat. I think he drives a truck. It's just, they're Edomites, or people like the Hodge twins. All right, you can go and look them up. All right, and you'd think that they'd be Jakes, but no, they're just, these guys are Edomites. Okay, they're Edomites. All right, and that's just how they are. They're just Edomites. They're just weird, and you can just kind of tell, right? You see, look, the American flag is 1776, and they're just Edomites. They're just Edomites, man. And you can just tell, like, people, Candace Owens. All right, people like Candace Owens, another Edomite that you would think would know. No, she's a black woman. No, she's an Edomite. All right. That's why she's all about white rights, white this, white that, white this. She's so focused on white issues because she herself, deep down inside, is a little crack-a-lackin' ass cracker, man. All right? So you can't always go off of what they look like, right? So let me finish up and get these two real quick, all right? And then I got to get going, all right? Because I'm already going to be a little bit late. But this is Deuteronomy 4:27. It says, "And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you." So if you're going to be scattered among all the nations, you're going to be getting down with those nations as men. You're men, getting with women, all right? And those women are going to have your little Negro-looking baby, your little Issacharite-looking baby, all right? Your little Gadite-looking baby, all right? Your little, I said, Negro, but that's encompassing all Southern Kingdom, Judah, Levi, or Benjamin-looking baby, okay? And they're going to be in that land, all right? So if you're in the land of let's just say, Sweden, all right, and it's gonna be brown for a little bit, but as that child grows up and gets with another white woman, their baby's gonna get a little bit watered down. It's like if you ever poured a little bit too much creamer in your coffee, all right, it only takes a little bit of that shit. One drop, boom, goes from black coffee to being a creamy color, all right? So a little bit of that goes a long way, man, okay? A little bit of that goes a long way. And then finally, we're going to get this. This is Matthew 13:24 through 30, which is a parable. All right. We're going to get it. And it says, verse 24, "Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which soweth good seed in his field." Good seed, all right? It doesn't have any bad seeds in it. It's only, if it's grapes, it's pure grapes. If it's strawberries, it's pure strawberry. It doesn't have any weeds in it. Doesn't have any other plants. It's just pure strawberry seeds. All right. "But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way." Now, if you look at the tare and wheat, tare versus wheat, they look the same, but a wheat can be used for many things, but a tare cannot be used for almost anything. Okay. It's useless. Okay. So, and a seasoned farmer would be able to tell, but in up close, but from a distance, you can't, you have to go through and be precise about it, or else you'll uproot wheat with it. And that's why the Lord, said what he said. Well, the man that's, likened to this husbandman in this story, right? But it says, "But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way." It says, "But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst thou not sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this." So that's like likened unto, Esau getting with a black woman, and now they have a black-looking baby, but that's a tare, all right? It looks like wheat, but it's not, right? It's really just an Edomite, because not through the father's line, they're not Jake, all right? They're an Edomite. Doesn't matter what the mother is. It says, He said unto them, that an enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? All right, you want us to go and get rid of them? In verse 29, it says, But he said, Nay, lest while you gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest, and in the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. So you can see, and bear with me 1 minute. But because if you could see Slakia sidetrack, but if you burn them all up, you're gonna get some wheat in there, and the Lord doesn't want that. He wants it to be only the wheat saved, only the tares destroyed, right? That's the way He wants it to be. So Slakia, I had to rush it a little bit towards the end. I got to run in here. I'm already gonna be super hella late, but lessons are more important. But that's the lesson. So it's about who your father is. All right. If your father was white and your mom was black, you're an Edomite. All right. If your father's an Edomite, of course, because that white man, here it is. You could have a black mom and a white dad, but your dad, even though he looks white, you'd be like, oh, I'm an Edomite. Nope. But his great grandfather, all right, was in fact a so-called black man, a Judite, and that's why he got with that black woman in the first place, because he wanted to be someone of his same culture, of his same bloodline. All right, not bloodline, Slakia, of his same, really in a way, bloodline, in the same, not seed line, but bloodline. Okay, Slakia. A seed line is like through your seed, but bloodline is, who you are. Okay, so as Jake. So that's the lesson, all right, about speckled birds and tares. Slakia again for having to go a little bit, rush it a little bit towards the end. I didn't realize I spent so much time talking at the beginning, but Lord and what was edifying nonetheless. All right, we're going to close out with that. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Akakwadash. I want to say shalom to you elders and you Slakia, you Akim and Akwath, you brothers and sisters, Slakia. Until next one, Lord willing, keep enduring, keep the faith. Shalom.